Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where it has been a little bit. We just did some Kerbal Space Program 1 shenanigans because Kerbal Space Program 2 needed more time in the oven. There were significant issues last time we looked at it, but there have been some patches and apparently it's in a pretty decent state now, albeit still an early access one, and that caveat is important. So I want to say here, before we embark on what this series is going to be, that if there are still serious issues that we run into, we may have to end this series early. We'll see how that goes. But what do I want this series to be? Well, in KSP1, I did a series called Solar System Tour, and I want to do kind of the same thing here. I also did the same thing with the Parallax mod, although that was bases. And that's kind of what I want to replicate here in KSP2. A big part of the draw of KSP2 is supposed to be building bases, and I'm not sure how implemented that is, but we'll find out. Let's dive into the single player. I note that there is no custom cursor. Okay, that is exciting. And we're not going to be playing this. This was, as you can see, almost a year ago at this point, and we're just going to delete that campaign. It's probably not a thing at this point. We're going to start a new campaign, and this is going to be... Let's see. I don't want to do this as a sandbox. This is the science mode? Okay, so exploration is what they're calling the science mode. I really like the wheel differential they've got here. That's very Kerbal. I like it. So normal difficulty is probably where we're going to sit on. What is the difference between these again? Okay. Honestly, I think we're going to sit on hard, given this. Well, maybe we'll allow revert. We'll sit on normal and allow reverting and quick loading, just because I do use those specifically for simulating and for bug testing. Or rather for bug fixing. So we'll probably do it like that, but my rule on reversion is I'm not allowed to revert unless there is a bug or unless we previously have stated that it's a simulation. So I think that's going to be the overall idea. I'm going to customize this though. I'm going to turn down the tolerance distance for docking down to 100%. So it's going to be functionally on hard, except we're going to allow revert and quick load. Well, maybe not quick load. We might not use it. So let's just put it on hard. Let's allow reversion and quick loading. But I'm not going to include stock vessels. We're not going to have unbreakable joints. We're going to require signal for control for probes. We're used to all of that. I want to have our heat scaling at normal. I want to have our tolerance distance at normal. I want rewards at normal. I just want to feel out how this feels for the moment. So I'm not going to call this the default campaign. I'm going to call this the... What are we going to call it? Bases around the system. That's a terrible name. I'm going to have to come up with something. I mean, we could just call it based. Honestly, that's kind of good. Okay, so our agency name is currently the Kerbal Space Agency. That's probably fine. We can probably rename it once we get into the campaign, so we're not too concerned about any of this, I don't think. I think this flag makes a lot of sense for what we're planning on doing, and I don't really like the base and accent color here. I'm going to have our base color be kind of a dark gray, about like this. And our accent color is going to be a light blue. Somewhere around there. Okay, so that'll be fine. We'll start this campaign. And let's see how this goes. The first thing that I want to look at here, as soon as we get in... Okay, this is a little bit of load time. I mean, KSP1 had that too. The first thing I want to look at when we get in is the map, and we'll start making some plans on how we want this to go. We're probably going to have to acquire some science before we start building any bases, so we'll probably visit Minmus and also Moon before we start any base construction, but we want to build bases on every single one of these. Oh, hello. I forgot about this.
Your new space program, leaping forward into the cosmos. Since the dawn of Kerbal kind, we have looked to the sky and wondered what sublime mysteries lie hidden in the darkness, like jewels never beheld. These untold treasures may soon reveal themselves due to the efforts of recently founded Kerbal Space Program.
Oh my, I think that might have been the only copy of the orientation film. Hold on! Slides, somewhere. Welcome to your first day running the Kerbal Space Program. This campus hosts the greatest ever gathering of astronomers, astronauts, and engineers. After years of focused effort, this collection of geniuses has created several very impressive buildings. We believe we have all the necessary pieces to take our first steps off the ground. The best way to advance our technologies further is to get up there and learn by doing. All we need now is somebody to show us how to put all these parts together. Well, we also need somebody to help us out with the flying. We need a lot of help, actually. That's why you're here. My name is Paige, by the way. If you need any hints, feel free to visit me over at the training center. Everything in there is well padded, so it's a great place to get up and running. Welcome aboard!
I liked the not Carl Sagan joke. That was pretty good. So we've of course got our VAB, training center, R&D center, tracking station, mission control, and our launch pad. Now, do we need to do any upgrading here? I don't think so in this. This is a science mode, so these should all be fully upgraded, right? In theory. Yeah, this is all fine. I don't care about any of the tutorials or anything. So just checking around here. This is our VAB here. And yeah, this is all fine. Okay, so we don't need to do any upgrading. We're just going to need to figure out what we've got for science. So let's hop directly into the R&D center. We've got starting rocketry right now. How much science do we have? Up over here? Okay, 0. So light launchers, sure. This gives us access to the swivel, to the FL 100 and 200 tank. So this is everything we need to make an orbital rocket. Okay, beautiful. So that's reasonably fine. No problem here. How do I go back? I guess over here? Sure, that's exciting. So we can immediately head into the tracking station because I want to take a quick look at the solar system here. So this is the solar system as it exists right now. We've got Kerbal over here. We've got Yes, I'm aware of this page. You can go away. Thank you. We've got Moho over here. We've got Eve over here. Duna, of course, Kerbin and its moon and Minmus. Eve probably has Gilly. Can we focus it over here? Yes, there's Gilly. Fantastic. Moho should not have a moon. And indeed it does not. And then we've got Duna here with its 2 moons, presumably. Actually, it's only got Ike. Right, that's right. I forgot about that. For some reason, I was thinking that it was like Mars, but no, it's not. And where's Dress? Dress. Here we go. Everyone forgets Dress. And here's Dress. Excellent. No moons for Dress. And then we've got Jewel, and it's roughly 1 trillion moons. So we've got Jewel, we've got Lathe, we've got Vol, we've got... This is not Jewel over here. I don't know why it's saying that that's Jewel, but we've got Bop and Pole over here. This is Jewel. And this is maybe a little bit bugged, but that's fine. And then, of course, we've got Elu, way out on its own. Excellent. So that is all great. We want to put a base on every single one of these. So how are we going to get started? Well, we should head directly over to the VAB. So, once we arrive here in the VAB, yes, I know how to build a rocket. This is absolutely fine. We are going to immediately put in our tin can one. This is the Mark 1 single-seat command pod. So we're going to want to go with... Money is not a constraint here. So that's interesting. Okay, this is exactly the same. So this, 2 of these is the same as 1 of these. Money is not a consideration, right? Now, one thing that we do not have right now is access to a vacuum-optimized engine. So there is that. The question is, what do we want to do about it? Well, for the time being, we just need to launch something. So I'm going to do something like this. That gets us essentially a T-800. And we're going to want a stack decoupler about here. That'll be fine. That is a TD-12. And then a Mark 16 parachute is just going to go up on the top here. That is absolutely fine. Performance feels a whole lot better than it was last time we tried, so that's good. So something just like this would be enough to get us not orbital, but certainly suborbital of some type. Maybe enough to get us... Do we want any fins on this? Probably not necessary. Probably not necessary. But we could put in some fins, something like that. Okay, this is not going to get orbital, but it's probably enough to get us some science. So we'll call this... What do we want to call this thing? This will be, I guess we'll call this the test vehicle. It's a very creative name. So we'll save that. Yeah, this is fine. And we're going to put this immediately out on the pad. So we have 2633 meters per second. This is not enough to get orbital. And I don't actually want this staging to be like this. I want this guy up over here. There we go. We'll save that. Yes, overwrite it. That is a lot of extra clicks for saving. Okay. And we're going to launch this straight from launch pad 1. Are we ready to fly? We don't need pointers, Paige. Thank you very much. This will be absolutely fine. I'm going to... SAS defaults to on. Okay. We're going to throttle up, which it actually defaults to throttled up. Okay, that's absolutely okay. Now, I'm noting this rocking back and forth here, and I'm wondering, is that just an animation? Because I'm not noting any rocking happening from our actual mini rocket here. Now, what is our DV here? Can we actually see our delta V? Presumably. It's in here somewhere, I'm sure. There's also apparently experiments that we can do here. We can grab a crew observation and we can transmit this back. Okay, we're draining electrical charge for this, but that's fine. It's going to be worth 4 science. Okay, so that is noted. Cool. So that earned us 4 science points. Excellent. So that's absolutely fine. We can get rid of that. Next, I'm going to launch this thing. 90 is off to the right. Okay, that looks good. I do wonder where we see our thrust to weight. I'm sure it's here somewhere. It's gotta be. We see our DV. We'll find that out. It seems like I had a hard time finding it out previously as well. Maybe the engine has to run. I don't know. That would be weird. Okay, let's see what we've got. That's a pretty hefty thrust-to-weight ratio. No doubt about that. We are going to watch this apoapsis number. It's currently about 3 kilometers. Let's immediately start rotating this out on that 90-degree axis. We want to get some horizontal speed here. This thing does not turn very snappily. Also, I feel like that engine noise is pretty loud. Okay, so we're just getting pure horizontal speed. Our apoapsis is not very high. I'm aware of that. Let's actually bring it back up over here. Oh, we're seeing a heat gauge here. Okay, fascinating. Our stabilizer's overheated. And let's just get what altitude we can here. We're going to run out of fuel pretty soon. But this is actually a suborbital flight here. Okay, we're out of fuel. So that is absolutely fine. We're going to want to ditch all of this. We don't have a heat shield at this moment, but let's just hold ourselves in retrograde. And we'll use our engine as a heat shield. So our apoapsis is actually down to 42. It said like 80 previously. Interesting. This is our sea level altitude here. Okay, I want to run some science experiments. So, is this automatically grabbed? I guess we could transmit it. That's reasonably fine. So we'll transmit this back. This is atmosphere observations. Cool. And we're currently, you know, not very high up. I didn't really expect us to make it into space there, so it seems like I must have misread that. That is noted. We're going to be passing apoapsis fairly soon. We're not in vacuum at this point, I want to point out. Where's our pressure gauge? Presumably it's here somewhere, but yeah, this is the atmospheric pressure here. Are we actually in space? We might actually be in space, according to this. 40 kilometers is different, if that's the case. Okay, well, let's eject that, and we're going to head back just with our capsule. The question is, are we going to survive this without a heat shield? That'll be interesting. We've got our parachute. Our parachute should be enough if we can get our parachute to open. Now, it's currently safe to deploy, but that will change. So yeah, we're currently at about 42 kilometers. Our current status, this did say, yeah, we're in atmosphere. Okay, so that is expected. We're just in the thin portion of the atmosphere. Okay, noted. I don't know why I saw that this was like 76 kilometers. Maybe it was that, but we lost a lot due to drag. That's a possibility, I suppose. I would have to go back and double check it, but it seems absolutely okay for now. So we're coming back in this retrograde position here. What is this? Not sure what's going on with that, but okay, whatever. So we're still slowing ourselves down here. We are, at this point, past our apoapsis. We're going down, and we're going to be re-entering the atmosphere as of now. We can see our surface velocity is still going down. Our orbital velocity is also going down, but I want to be in surface mode. Cool. So this is looking fine for the moment. Well, hello there. You look way too... Oh, I see what that was. That's the top of our Kerbal's head. Interesting. Absolutely fascinating. Is this chute still safe to deploy? Remarkably, it's saying that it's safe to deploy. In which case, my question is, what is the point of drogue chutes in this game? I'm going to wait a bit. We're still slowing down quite a lot. Atmospheric drag is slowing us significantly here. So drag appears to be a higher concern in this game. That is good to know. Keep in mind, I've barely played KSP2 at this point. I've only done what I did on the channel, and that was like 7 episodes a year ago. So I basically have to start from scratch here. At this point, we're about 10 kilometers up, and we're only moving at 250 meters per second. Drag appears to be significant in this game, so that is absolutely noted. That's both good and bad. It's a double-edged sword. It'll mean that aerobraking is a lot more powerful, but it'll also mean that lifting through the atmosphere, going up, is more important. So that's noted. Gonna get our chute out, and let's hope that that actually deploys in time. It should. We're 2 kilometers up still. 1 kilometer, and there's the deployment. Perfect. And that should give us a nice, gentle splashdown. Now, we can warp forward here, only up to 4x, so that's the same as KSP1. No problem whatsoever there. We have 0.4 tons of monoprop. Okay, noted. Not that we can do anything with that right now. So, we'll just splash this guy right on down. I like this water shader. It looks a lot better than the KSP1 water shader, at least from a distance. Once you get it up close, this noise pattern here looks maybe a little too static, but once you get in here, it's okay. Cool. So at this point, we of course want to grab what we can here. So we have our crew observations here, and we splash down in the water. We think we saw a school of kittenfish. Okay, so we need to recover this. And how exactly do we go about doing that? Is it in the escape menu here? Yes. Okay, so we can just recover this vessel. Perfect. So we'll confirm that. We earned enough science to develop a new technology, and we can go back to the KSC. Okay, we did definitely have a couple of parts explode due to overheating, so that is noted. That is due to that increased drag coefficient that I was talking about, but we're not going to take an ascent profile like that in the future. So let's hop into the R&D center, and we can grab light launchers here, which will give us access to the T-30 Reliant, as well as the T-400 nose cones and the TT-38K. So this will give us an ability to attach on side boosters, although we're still going to be lacking the ability to flow fuel, and less fuel can flow through the radial decoupler without having a fuel line. That struts there. I'm just taking a quick look through these tiers here. Okay. Yep, so a lot of these parts are very, very familiar. That is the Terrier, as well as the Thumper solid fuel booster. I am mostly wondering right now where the fuel line is, or perhaps that's not necessary in this game. Perhaps there is no fuel line, and the radial decoupler works that way. We can figure that out. Any way we slice it, we need to grab light launchers here. So we're going to do exactly that. Now let's head back to the VAB. Wait, what did that just revert? Maybe we didn't apply our R&D there. I guess we'll find out. I didn't read that message. It reverted something. Let's see here. Yeah, it did revert the R&D. Okay, so let's go to the research and development. We want to grab light launchers. Wait, we're back to 0? Okay, so apparently that reverted us here. That reverted our vehicle flight, which is kind of wild. I guess we'll load in the autosave, because that's not intended. No doubt about that. Okay, well, lesson learned. Read that dialogue. Cool. So that's fine. We're floating in the water here. We want to recover this vessel, and we'll head to the KSC. Okay, I definitely didn't expect that to revert us. We're only at 8 now? Okay, something very strange is happening here. I want to load back in the autosave, which was here. This is as we're parachuting down, it looks like. So that should be fine. What did I mess up here? I'm okay with, like, reverting back and doing save game shenanigans here because this is, like, meta UI stuff. The chute is not actually visual, but the chute is deployed. Okay, well, that's exciting. No doubt about that. We've got our research here. And once we splash down... Okay. Once we splash down, we've got this. I guess we can transmit this back. But that costs too much. No, we can't do that. Okay. So now let's recover this vessel. And how much science do we actually have? Let's head to the KSC this time. Now we have 12 science. Okay, I'm very confused. Maybe we're running into bugs already. But these bugs are manageable, if that's the case. So at this point, I think I clicked revert to VAB previously. So that would have been my own fault. Now, as far as why we didn't get 4 of that science from the one save and then we did from the other, that I don't have an explanation for. But let's go to the VAB this way. Yes, that appears to be correct. So I think primarily we should boil that down to user error. I think that's very clear. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this guy here. We're going to have a second stage on this. Having this be a swivel engine is not necessarily ideal. And I want this to be a T400 because that is more efficient in terms of cost. It's not actually relevant here, but we're going to put in a T400 here and then another essentially T400 here. And then that would be a swivel engine. And the question I have right now is, how do we tell what the thrust to weight is here? 4.1, apparently. The command pod is missing a heat shield. Yes, we don't have access to a heat shield at this point. So we're going to have to be pretty cautious with our re-entry to Kerbal. So this is 4.1 thrust to weight. Now it's saying 1.787. So presumably that's this stage's thrust to weight. And this is 4.1. Okay, now we want that to be a vacuum optimized engine, right? Ultimately, that's going to be the ideal goal there. But for now, this would do. We would want to combine these stages together, kind of like this, and then this stage does not need to exist exactly. So we can get rid of that. And I think we're ready to attempt an orbital flight. I'm hoping that we would have the Delta V to do it. I suspect we would have the Delta V to do it. In this stage, how much DV do we have? Okay, we can see and hear the thrust to weight of each stage. So this is 2.04, this is 4.58. Both of those thrust to weights seem fine. We've got about 30 seconds of burn time. We've got 1,700 meters per second here, and we've got 1,463 meters per second here. I feel like we might want to expand this stage a little bit more. So I'm going to remove these for right now, if I can. Yeah, I want these wings off of... No, I don't want to hit that button. I want to just grab these and remove them for the moment, because I want to duplicate this guy, and then I'm going to put in an FLT 200 here to get just that little bit of extra kick out of that first stage. And then we'll put in these stabilizers, and those stabilizers definitely, well, stabilized our flight. So that is absolutely fine. We can now see that this is 1,718 meters per second and 1,700 meters per second up here. Now, this will be a lot more once we have a vacuum-optimized engine here, but we need to make our way into orbit to get ourselves some science. I'm going to save this as a test vehicle again. We'll overwrite it, and this is hopefully going to make it... Well, it's going to make it at least suborbital, but I'm pretty sure we'll make it orbital with this one. Unless we have just a crazy amount of drag. But I'm planning on going straight up through the atmosphere for a while longer. I never actually anticipated making it out of the atmosphere with the last one. I just wanted to get science while in flight, and that's what we got. So at this point, it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we are going to go orbital. To be clear, there's no reason why we couldn't have done this as our first flight. It would have been fine. But baby steps, right? You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadowwolf, Atala, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.